Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom. Friday. Um, Today I'm going to talk about the evolution of local government, and the historical background to the video is a catalyst to understanding the comparison of local government in Uganda and South Sudan before and after the independence. It also acts as a premise the nature of to examine the nature of colonial institutions and show how they played a role in the government and the local government structures. And we are also going to look at the merits and the demerits. Just to be very brief, in Sudan, when you look at the pre-colonial era, we have seen that Sudan was not a country, was led by the Ottoman Empire from Egypt. So when you look at being ruled from outside, another country ruling another country, another reason which was not a state, there was definitely that the voices were of the people who were within were not heard. They were not benefiting from whatever. They might be enslaved. So this was how things started. Normally, the Ottoman Empire, they send their representative to rule this side, and then reports to the Ottoman Empire in Egypt. Slowly, after the colonial era, when the British started to come in, we realized that the British tries to push for what is called Anglo-Egyptian local government kind of stuff. So it's like trying to come with what local government can be, but in a sense that it was an Angular rule. It is an Anglo-Egyptian rule whereby they developed a policy called the condominium rule. Though this policy was signed to rule Sudan jointly with the British, there was a lot of interest from the foreign, the Western countries in Europe, France, and Italy. They tried to push because they saw that the Nile was more of importance. But the British stood hard. In a meeting, they disagreed with France. They only allowed France to have the business along the Nile. So not to have the political gains, political responsibility. So looking into that, you see that the natives were ruled, undermined. And what happened was that the Egyptian rule, there was really everything was benefiting the Egyptian. All the resources were going to the Egyptians. So when the British came in, when they now come up with this policy, the condominium rule, so they say the British and the Egyptian have to rule jointly, where they have to have their flag flying in Sudan. And then after 6 months, I think the British were pushing hard to see that the Egyptian flag is pulled off. And the British started to appoint their governor who is in the military wing. Much as later they moved it to the civilian wing, but the disadvantage is that still the British are taking control. They are in the top positions. But for Egypt now, Egypt has to be, they try as much to see that Egyptians are very, very small, are very, very few in numbers, and they also occupy the lower officer positions at this system. And much as we know that the budget of Sudan was in Egypt, so it became really very difficult for Sudan to decide to implement. Allocation of resources was very poor. So what happened was that the British were trying hard to side with the natives. So from there they started to give freedom for the natives to take as much as possible, many positions, knowing that the British started to form advisory councils, other financial, legal, and the administrative units that are responsible connected to the office of the governor. That was how local government shaping way. But though it was shaping way, but we see that there were a lot of gaps whereby service allocation, resources, when it comes to creation of powers, creation of tires, it was not there. So what happened was that of course the British started to make some ties with the tribes, because we see that they are also leaders. We have chiefs. These chieftains, their role was to try to solve issues that are rising within the communities. We have also clan leaders. So all these tribes, the British start to have a move of tying some treaties to ensure that they gained the independence from the Egyptian rule. I think before the World War, at the existence of the past World War, they really tried to clarify. They tried to say to put that they need to see that Sudan get its independence as a country, as a state in a future. So that was how a local government in Sudan shaping way. When we compare it to Uganda, that means local government was not properly as in Uganda, because when you look at the pre-colonial era, where Uganda, though was nationalist, not ruled by anyone outside Uganda, but they don't have uniformity, as we have seen that mostly the kingdoms, like the use chieftaincies, the kingdom within Uganda, the central Uganda, southern Uganda, eastern Uganda, and the northern Uganda kind of actually, and you see, so it was kind of similarly related, but at this point they were able to have the community chieftaincies that are reporting to the kings, and then they also appoint the clan leaders that are representing the clans. So this was how government started to pave way. And when you look like after the the colonial era, we have seen that they started to form the district thing, where you find that the district commissioner has the powers to appoint people, the chiefs also down there, the chiefs, and also people at the parish, people at the districts. So this is, and the officers that are working under there. So this was how government was shaping. That means there was a representation, much as we see that it was not uniformity, but at least there was a formal way of how things are moving in Uganda compared to Sudan. Or in Sudan, and when you look at the era of the longer civil war, the second civil war after the independence, because when Sudan got the independence, of course, from this, all those rules ended. Now Sudan has to be independent, no colonial, and so forth. Still, the local government was centralized. That means there was no benefit. The local government were not benefiting. That is why, for example, you see a result of South Sudan is not developed, though they use provinces, but those provinces are represented, others are represented by people from North. They are occupying the top positions. That means there was no independence, there is no decentralized system in Sudan compared to Uganda. But in Uganda, it was more formal. We have seen that the element of resource allocation was really very, very instrumental in Uganda. The process of creating new districts, the central government, politicians played a substantial role in the creation of the new districts. This was when you look at Uganda after the independence. Because Uganda, after the independence, the NRM started to put policies. And through that, we see that these systems started to move. Where we have the parliament enacts rules and policies that creating districts. So this was what is happening after the independence of Uganda. And now we have seen that the issue of ethnic differences had a substantial influence on the demand for the new districts. We have seen it can be that some voices are heard, some ethnic voices are heard, but others are not heard. So this is two-way in Uganda. So it was also found that all the respective tribes was not satisfied with the extent to which they were involved in the decision making, because by then the tribes takes were involved fully. But now, because the local system is stepping way, so most time we see that at the other side of the local government, I mean of the local tribes, they felt as if they are not satisfied. And also some tribes member highly complained of neglect, and that their concerns were not given priority. And this also applies in the past, because we see that even before the pre-colonial, you find that there are only few tribes that were really owning this kind of chieftaincy, kingdom, clan leaders. You see, so the other system, they were not really taken serious. They are centralized in other issues. So this is really normally what happened. And comparing South Sudan, we have seen that the Arabs were really centralizing everything. We are not developing South Sudan, south part of Sudan. But now, currently, we have seen that in South Sudan, when we already got the comprehensive peace agreement, in which we now come in later in the independence, we have seen that the local government is stepping away, the police are developed, enacted the parliament, we have the state, we have the parliamentarian under the state, we have council, local council, we have also the counties, which we have councils also in the county, we have councillors that deliberate issues regarding the local government. We have seen that the really people, much as there are gaps, but the policies are clear. So it now became of the conflict that recently raised is the one interrupting everything in South Sudan. But otherwise, the system is more good than in the past. And comparing to Uganda has done more good than South Sudan in terms of local government. Much as we see that there are little issues, but accountability is perfect, service delivery is perfect in Uganda, resource allocation is perfect, and the districts allocated fiscal decentralization, like these budgets, the grants, at least does some development. But in state, these grants in South Sudan enters in the pocket of individuals. The services are not benefiting the people within. So this was how local government accept the way. Thank you so much, and thanks for listening. Bye.